Phoenix Lady here. The two links below are from Fox News concerning the efforts of the federal government to protect the federal courthouse in Portland against the firm insistence of the mayor of Portland and the governor of Oregon that the feds should immediately pull out because their presence is escalating the violence, which has been going on for, get this, 51 days now. Well, okay, Portland, if you really don't want to be part of the United States anymore because you're all so much better than the rest of us, here's my proposal for how we, the United States, should deal with you. I posted this in several places on one of the clips, but to be honest, it's based on an idea I came up with in two different unpublished novels from around 2009. I felt greatly concerned at the time about how the Obama administration and the Democrat Party were encouraging the crybabies of the day to burn, loot, and murder whatever and whoever they wanted to. In other words, the problem isn't new. It's just worse now than it was then. On the other hand, we now have a president who just might consider the idea. After all, he sat back and let Minneapolis burn, the Chaz/Chop area of Seattle declare itself a free state, no longer part of the U.S., and has now put federal forces in Portland to protect federal property, despite the screaming of the mayor and the governor there to kick them out. I believe he did so to let all of us see just how bad the crybabies are. My proposal for the president is that he tell the mayor of Portland and the governor of Oregon that if they really don't want to be part of the U.S. anymore, they must first pay the U.S. for all the damage to federal property that their citizens have done. They then must ask the county commissioners of every county in Oregon whether they wish to remain part of the U.S. or join Portland and any other cities in Oregon which wish to secede. In the meantime, the federal government will immediately shut down all federal property in Portland, remove all assets from that property as quickly as possible, shooting to kill anyone who tries to interfere with this process, and move those assets elsewhere in the region. While awaiting word on how many counties wish to join the mayor and governor, the federal forces will build a guarded fence or wall around downtown Portland and or anywhere in Portland where riots are occurring. Those who do not wish to be isolated within this wall will have 24 to 48 hours to move out, and everyone who does so must swear the oath of citizenship in the U.S. Any actions after so swearing which violate the oath will result in being returned to Portlandia with no second chance to leave. Once the initial area is demarcated, all utilities serving that area will be cut, along with all trade. All financial assets of the city and its remaining residents will be frozen. If the mayor wants to run a Marxist utopia, he can do so without help from the U.S. As the counties weigh in with their choices for or against remaining part of the U.S., those which choose against will also be fenced out, with the same conditions as given to Portlandia. I've never lived in Oregon, but I'm going to guess the major cities in the Willamette Valley and their surrounding counties will initially choose to join Portlandia, while those counties without major cities will stay in the U.S. I know, we fought a civil war, last time states tried to secede. Given that the Democrats who lost that war still refuse to admit they lost, perhaps it's time to let them secede under our rules. By walling them off and shutting off all trade, communication, and utilities, something we couldn't do last time, we will give them what they profess to want. By allowing the counties within the state to choose whether they will remain part of the U.S. or not, we will reduce the economic damage because most of the counties will choose to stay in the U.S. A look at the map of the U.S. election results in 2016 will give you a good idea of which counties will stay and which will go. In my comments, I gave Portlandia a generous 6 months before all the remaining residents are dead of starvation, those that survived the inevitable violence, and the city burned to the ground. Other commenters who may or may not have seen my comments gave them 6 weeks. Applying these rules of secession to all the other Democrat-run cities and states on their demand that they be allowed to secede would remove the onus for the lives lost and the property destroyed from the U.S. These free states, being cut off from trade with the rest of us and the world, will force them to face the fact that socialism just doesn't work. By allowing citizens who want out to get out, but make them prove they're serious about being citizens of the U.S., would greatly reduce the death toll caused by the armed forces guarding the wall. There will be some deaths as the Guardians shoot to kill those who attack them in an attempt to tear down the wall, but self-defense is always allowed. Finally, by allowing for the creation of these free states, the U.S. will provide a place for those of like mind in the rest of the country, a place to go within the continental U.S. where they will not be bothered by the rest of us. Think of these free states as examples to the rest of us and the world why Marxist utopias always fail. Or think of them as insane asylums run by the inmates. Yes, there are walls and guard posts, but not to keep the residents in against their will. They demanded freedom. We're just giving them what they want. After all, those who truly want out can walk up to a guard post and ask to swear the oath of citizenship. And those who want in will be more than welcome to enter. Will anyone take this idea seriously? Probably not. I'll just put it out there and see what happens. Phoenix Lady, out.